afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alyssa Corm here, and I'm joined by Ed Carson. Today, we're going to talk about the action for the major indexes, the NASDAQ outperforming quite a bit of strength there today, and we're going to go over three stocks that presented actionable buying opportunities today, Ed.
Yes, thanks, Ali. We're going to take a look at Qualcomm, Maravai Life Sciences, and One Medical.
Awesome. Well, first, let's take a look at the NASDAQ here, gaining about 1.5% in today's session. Right behind that, we had the Russell 2000, so strength in small caps as well, up about 1.3% for the day. The S&P 500 up 0.8%. The Dow lagging a little bit, up 0.4%. So we are once again knocking on the door of all-time highs here, Ed. We had a little bit of a breather towards the end of last week, but really not much of a breather at all.
No, it was a real modest pullback. I mean, it may sometimes a 1% drop in the index can see a bigger drop in your portfolio if you have some really high flyers, but it really wasn't much. Yeah, we're almost at all-time highs. I would say the one positive is that, yeah, we're basically where we were on January 8th, but the 50-day moving average has caught up somewhat. I mean, we were 8% above the 50-day line on January 8th, and now, I don't know, 5.9, 5, something around there, that level. So it's just a little bit closer in, so a little less likely to have a pullback. I mean, we were at those levels. A pullback was due, and we got one. Luckily, it wasn't that severe. But generally, the market is acting very well. We just keep having these mild little pullbacks and chugging them right along.
And what do you make of a day where we had not only strength in, the broad tech landscape, but also small caps as well?
Well, small caps have been doing really well. I mean, they've really come on. Yeah, the IWM, nice proxy for the Russell 2000, and it's been outperforming everything. And you can see it from that RS line, really, really powerful in the last several weeks, several months, really. So small caps, growth names, it's a lot of kind of stuff that you'd like to see as an investor.
Yeah, that breadth widening of leadership. Well, let's take a look at an established name, and that is Qualcomm, QCOM, of course, in the semiconductor space, hitting all-time highs today, and the gain of about 4.3%, Ed, clearing that 160 level. We do have earnings at the beginning of February, so it seems like, enough time to potentially build a cushion here if you're initiating a position.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice action here, and we've seen a lot of the chips doing well. I mean, chips have just been doing very well, to be honest. They've been leading, and they haven't seen some of the trouble that software has. This has risen. This is 5 straight weeks, and it's going to try to go for a 6th. Found support off the 10-week line, so you could have probably bought it off of that. Now it's a little extended off of that, but that's one way you could have bought taken an early entry, and then add to it or start a position today off the breaking out past the buy point.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And I feel like we've been talking about Qualcomm quite a bit on IBD Live. So good to see it continuing higher today. What do you make of the fundamentals here? Because it looks like in large part, not too bad, but a little spotty here. What should Slim growth investors be thinking when they see something like that? For the top line growth, especially.
Yeah, I mean the chip sector is very is very in flux, is very cyclical, and that's come around. And that's you see it now, and the earnings have been steady or have been doing pretty well. You combine that with the coronavirus. That's just difficult there. I would say that right now the chip sector in general is doing very well. And Qualcomm, as an Apple supplier, as a 5G chip maker, you could expect a pretty good tailwind from that. Obviously, markets are expecting that. So, but that would be the hopes going forward, is that the prospects are pretty good, at least in the next year or so.
Yeah, and with earnings 2 weeks away, we'll get an update on those financials from Qualcomm, but it's always important to reassess your holdings heading into their earnings reports. You want to make sure you have enough cushion to withstand potential pullbacks on those reports. And now let's take a look at 2 newer issues, starting off with Maravai, MRVI Life Sciences. They're up over 10% today. And so this one, yet another compelling name out of the IPO space, Ed.
Yeah, this one's actually profitable. That, or at least it's becoming so. It looks like it is, and it's in the COVID space, strong revenue growth. Hasn't had a report yet as a public company, so that will be interesting. But yeah, it broke out today, at least briefly, from the official buy point. We've got a lot of stocks like this where the IPOs, they're running up pretty low from the bottom, either in 1 day or 2 or 3 or 4 days. And, then they get up to the buy point and may blow past it and then come back down. So, investors may want to try to take earlier positions at lower spots. That's one you could do off the sort of the break, aggressive down the handle. Lots of different ways you could do it. If you wanted to get into it, you could try to do a taste, get a small position to start. So, because there's been a lot of stocks that have run up and then come right back down. That's just the nature of IPOs, especially with that kind of move. So lots of ways if you want to do that.
Slice and dice it. Yeah. Lots of ways to get into it. But, this is one where, there were a couple of different ways that you could have looked at it. And we'll have to see where it goes from here. If it continues to rise tomorrow, because like you said, we've seen a lot of these stocks that have had, IPOs have had really powerful moves, and then they get a little wild on you, a little tricky. So proper entries that are a little earlier can be very beneficial in that sort of circumstance.
Yeah, and it'd be great if this could form a handle, but these IPOs, they just haven't tended to do that. This was our stock of the day. It was added to IBD leaderboard. I'm not sure, it has a small position. So it's definitely one we're keeping an eye on. I mean, it was actually New America recently. The next stock is our stock of the day.
Yes, great segue there, Ed.
Sort of.
We're going to call it a great segue. Our stock of the day today was One Life Healthcare, ticker ONEM. This one got some play on IBD Live this morning as it was breaking out of this cup with handle base. So you can see the cup here had a pretty big depth of 43%, but it tightened up a bit over the last couple of weeks or so. Cleared this 44.59 buy point. And, when we were looking at this, Ed, early in the session, of course, it was extending its gains, and then it really just continued to take off from there and extend its gains throughout the session.
Yeah, this is great. One Life Healthcare, it's better known as One Medical. It's actually a service that I use. I don't own the stock, but it's a service I use. The base, was a little deep. I guess you can say, well, those deep bases sometimes, and they can work, they're a little less likely to, and it's an IPO. I mean, it came out in January 2020, so, they tend to have volatile patterns. It sort of came down sort of towards the top of a prior base, and it's breaking out now, and as you say, much tighter action. The volume today was quite heavy. Actually on a daily chart, it was like, highest volume in quite a while. So that's really positive. Institutions came in there. This was our stock of the day. JP Morgan said very positive things, saying this was a top idea, I think, in the small and mid-cap space. I would definitely suggest reading that article today by Jed Graham. Had a lot of interesting things about what One Medical is doing out there in terms of COVID vaccines, telehealth, a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, very fascinating. So we highly recommend you checking out our stock of the day story on One Medical, and also our recent New America story on Maravai. We've got a lot of that fundamental research for you, in addition to that nitty-gritty technical that we really love walking through as well. And a place where we get to do that in long form, we go on a couple of different rants here and there, is IBD Live. It's our daily morning live stream. Our experts are sharing their screens, talking about actionable stocks as those breakouts happen before they get extended throughout the session. But we're also talking about different game plans for what to do if a stock moves against you, where to put your stop, both on the defensive side and where to take profits on the offensive side. There's always a lot to talk about, isn't there, Ed?
There is. It always seems to be like it's 8 o'clock at West Coast time, and we're we got to go. And we do market analysis. We talk about stocks breaking out, stocks setting up, stocks breaking down, and just the educational stuff. The poll questions you come up with every day, they're just great. Really talking about technical and fundamental, and just how you invest in a longer term. Just so it's always a lot of fun and jam packed every day.
Yeah, we hope you check it out. We look forward to seeing you there tomorrow morning, investors.com/IBD Live. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow.